All right, hello and welcome to our show today. Today we have Matt Ryder, and he's going to be telling us a bit about his business and some of the things that he's learned along the way in this past year. So, hi Matt, and welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing good, Julia. It's great to be talking with you again.
Yeah, it's great to be talking to you too. Thanks for coming on. So we'll just jump right into it if that's cool with you. Okay,
Absolutely.
awesome. So tell us a bit about your business.
Yeah, so my name is Matthew Ryder, and my business is copywriting and messaging. So I work with mostly businesses that have some kind of cause or purpose greater than just the dollar and bringing in money. And I help them refine their messaging and refine the copy that goes along with that to attract more customers, whether that's through their website messaging, email campaigns, Facebook ads, anything that involves putting your message out there, I help refine.
Okay, and why is it important to have your message refined?
Well, I'm a little bit biased, but I think that messaging is the most important piece of your marketing. When you have the right message and you know who that message is for, that's kind of the linchpin that makes everything else in your marketing work. Without that right message and audience fit, you're going to have a hard time running any ads. Your email campaigns aren't going to perform as well. The people that come to your website aren't going to end up reaching out to you. So I really see messaging as the foundation to the rest of everything in your marketing.
Okay, cool. So it's like really connecting with the person that you want to connect with by what you say through your copy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Connecting with them at a deeper level, really helping them understand why you're the right person to help them.
Mm, yeah. Speaking about why you're the right person to help them, who do you serve? Like, who's your best customer? How we say your target audience.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I primarily work with businesses that have a greater purpose than just making money. So I've worked with a lot of companies in the natural health space. I've worked with companies in the personal development space, and I've worked with a number of nonprofits as well. And the process that I use for refining and creating your message tends to work best if your company has a greater mission than just the dollar. And it's great to see more and more companies kind of coming on board with this. But there are still definitely some out there that are only concerned with making money. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I tend to find that the businesses that are driven by a mission tend to be more fulfilled in what they're doing and they love what they're doing. Um, unless like there are the few rare businesses where money is the thing that they want to do, but solely because like they love money, right? And everything to do with money or like
right.
educating about money and whatnot.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the process and system that I work with my clients just works a little bit better if there's kind of that underlying mission aspect there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I love what you're up to. How long have you been in business?
I've been doing what I do now for about 5 years, and prior to that, I've kind of been a serial entrepreneur. I owned a couple of e-commerce businesses that ended up selling, and then got into the consulting side and what I do now.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so that's quite a long time. So you've found how to have your business work and how to have that copy actually reach the target audiences for the people that you've worked with.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Very cool. So since we're going through a pandemic and this whole last year has been, a gong show for a lot of people, what's the greatest impact the pandemic has had on your business?
Yeah, so for myself, I've had to find some new ways to serve my clients. My clients are kind of oftentimes dealing more directly with what's been going on over the past year than I am. And so coming up with, new ways as to how they can still reach their customers during this time and how they can, in some cases, modify their message in a way that their customers are going to relate to, as a lot of, I think, perceptions have shifted over the past year. And we've seen that a lot of people are, thinking differently. They're spending more time at home, perhaps. They're not traveling. So my focus has been, how can I help my clients adapt their message in such a way that they're still going to be powerfully reaching their customers, and their customers are going to, understand that they're still there for them kind of during this time. I have had a few of my clients, their business actually picked up dramatically back in March when this all kind of started to really get worse. Mostly in the e-commerce space, I saw that happen, and then I had some clients too that we had to work on, pivoting a little bit and kind of reaching a new audience or reaching a new portion of the market because their business was impacted negatively by what was going on. So yeah, it's been an interesting and challenging year. But I think now moving forward, we've had a number of months now to kind of get everyone back on track with their messaging so that they are still able to reach their customers in a powerful way.
Hmm. So what's an example? Like, do you have an example of a customer that you've helped, and like what did you help them pivot, or just to give us a better idea of what that looks like?
Sure. So one of my clients works in the medical field, doing marketing for regenerative medicine clinics. So clinics that are offering stem cells and treatments like that. She helps them with their marketing. And the strategy that she was using previously with great success was to have live seminars where the clinics she works with, they would hold, an in-person seminar where potential patients could come out and meet the doctor and meet the team and find out more information. And she's had to pivot to a completely online strategy using webinars. And so that requires a different type of messaging and a different type of marketing, especially in a year or a time where everyone's a little fatigued of being on Zoom and being on
Hmm.
webinars. So I helped her create a message to really help break through and stand out in all of that noise as kind of everything has shifted online, and that's been working really well for her.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool. So what you do would be really useful for all the businesses right now that have been pivoting online then as well, because that's huge over what we've been dealing with the last year. I mean, I've had to pivot online as well since I'm not seeing clients in
Yeah,
person.
yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know from what I'm seeing more than ever, now is the time to really get your messaging right. If you were doing business primarily in person prior to 2020, networking events, things like that, you might have been able to talk to people and present yourself really well in person, but that doesn't always translate to online from what I've seen. So,
Mm.
if you haven't already taken the time to really create a strong online message, definitely now is the time to start working on that. As I think even once the pandemic kind of winds down, it has changed the way that business is done. And I think we'll see a lot more business
Mm.
happening online, than we did previously. It was already trending up, and this just kind of accelerated it even further.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So even if the pandemic opens things up again, or even if we open things up again, more than likely a lot of the online things are still gonna be going on. So whatever you implement or learn now about it will still be useful down the road.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I always used to tell my clients, even before the pandemic, that getting their message right would impact, everything in their business, their in-person interactions, their phone conversations, and so on. And I think that's even more the case now, where if you were relying on kind of personal interactions or offline strategies prior to this, and your online strategies haven't been generating you the results that you're looking for, or you've seen a bit of a drop off as you've had to pivot to online, I think really addressing the messaging is a crucial aspect as we move forward.
Mm. Yeah, some wise words. So it's been said that smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So what mistakes have you made along the way, and how can other entrepreneurs learn from your experience?
Are you asking specific to kind of the past year or even prior to that?
The past year or prior to that, like whatever, like give us one of your greatest experiences or mistakes that you've made that would be useful for entrepreneurs as they're going through their journey.
Sure. So definitely one mistake that I made in the past year as kind of the pandemic started is I assumed that it would be over a lot more quickly than what's actually played out. And so at the start, I wasn't necessarily thinking long term, and I wasn't thinking so much about, hey, what shift in culture and what long term effect is this going to have, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now on the world. And that's
Mm,
definitely something that's on my radar now. But back in March, April, I wasn't really thinking about that. It was more, hey, what's going to be the short term strategy until this goes away kind of thing. I don't know if anyone, was predicting how long this would actually last, but I certainly wasn't thinking about it long term. And one mistake that I made kind of previously, and that I see a lot of my clients make, is they're not clear about exactly who they want to work with. They might have a general idea, and I see this a lot with clients that have a product that could be used by anyone. So, for example, if you're selling shoes, everybody needs a pair of shoes, but that doesn't mean that you should try and sell your shoes to everyone. You need to kind of niche down on a specific area of your market. And yeah, I see a lot of people making that mistake or thinking, hey, with the internet, I can reach anyone in the world. And that's true. But to really have a message that's going to captivate who you want to speak to and help you really build your brand so that then you can expand to other markets, you need to be really focused on a specific niche or a specific type of customer to start with.
mm. Yeah, that's a really good lesson to learn. Actually, I think I've been through that too, right? In the first couple of years, that was me trying to muddle my way through things and like speaking to everyone until I
Yeah,
finally honed my message down a little more or way better. And so
it's
that
a
totally makes
common
sense.
entrepreneurial problem.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, especially because we want to serve everyone, right? Like we don't want to take
For
anyone out
sure.
of the mix.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
especially when you're working with entrepreneurs and organizations that have a mission behind what they're doing, they have that desire, like you were saying, to reach as many people as possible. And that's great. But, it starts by reaching a very specific group, and then you can expand to another group and another group and another group. And one thing that I see a lot of my clients doing too is, when I initially I'm talking to them and learning about their business, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know exactly who my audience is," right? And I say, "Okay, great." And then they fill out my questionnaire about that, so that we can get started with what we'll be creating together. And it's very vague, and we have to spend some time, really drilling down and actually getting specific. So I think sometimes there's the perception, or there's just so many other things to do when you're an entrepreneur, that you think you've got kind of the audience
Mm,
thing handled. But I would really encourage all of the viewers to revisit your audience, every 6 months or at least every year, ideally more frequently than that. Make sure that things haven't shifted. Has something in the world shifted, like we've seen with what's been happening recently? Or are you naturally starting to attract someone different, and now you need to update your message because you've shifted? So yeah, it's really
mm.
important to not only know who those people are as a starting place and as a foundation, but also to keep checking in with that as your business grows and evolves.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good takeaway, actually. Like changing your message even because you've shifted, especially as entrepreneurs. Like we tend to read so many books or go to seminars, and we grow and we deal with the inner work and the mindset stuff. And I know I haven't really thought about shifting my message when I've grown, but I grow so much in a year that it's good to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. So, where can people find you? And is there anything you'd like to offer to our viewers?
Certainly. So my website is ridercopy.com, ridercopy.com. Your audience can get in touch with me there or by sending an email to Matt, M-A-T-T, at ridercopy.com. And for anyone who's watching this presentation, I'd actually like to offer a free copy audit. So if you've got an email or a homepage, a landing page, a Facebook ad, something where you'd like that messaging reviewed, I'd like to extend that as a free gift to any of your viewers.
Awesome. That's very generous of you, Matt. So if you go to Matt's website, ridercopy.com, send him a message, mention this Action Coach interview, he will hook you up with that audit of whatever copy that you'd like to have audited. Very cool. Okay, I got one more question for you, Matt. Tell me, what is most inspiring to you today?
I think what's most inspiring for me right now is just thinking about, what we can create in the world together. I really believe that entrepreneurs are the people that are going to create the changes that we need to see in the world, much more so than politicians or institutions, things like that. And yeah, it's just exciting to me to be working with such a wide variety of different clients that are part of that change and part of, kind of creating this new world that we're stepping into.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I tend to find myself saying that too with like with the nature of Calgary and how it's been going, or Alberta even with the oil and gas. And I'm like, if we're going to be relying on oil and gas to pick us back up, it's probably not going to. But the entrepreneurs and what we want
Right.
to innovate and, really putting ourselves out there to have our services or with our products and our services might be what does it, as opposed to, waiting for the oil and gas game to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I see entrepreneurs as people, we want to take charge of our own destiny. We don't want to rely on what's out there to do it for us. And not only, are we creating our own lives the way that we want, but then we can also create those changes in the world that we want to see. So
Mm, yeah, powerful, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm having fun on this interview, and I'm glad that you came on and shared some of your wisdom with our listeners. And this was informational for me, so I know I got something out of it.
excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'd be happy to come back on in the future.
Awesome. So, just any last words that you would like to say, or anything else that you'd like to add before we end this?
Yeah, final words would just be, figure out who your audience is, create a strong message for those people, and let that carry you through, the lifetime of your business. um, I haven't seen anyone, really have a hard time that has those two things in place. So if you are having a rough time in your business, or if you've, lost clients, lost customers due to the pandemic, kind of go back to that foundation, and I think it'll support you really well moving forward.
Mm, yeah, fantastic. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Matt, and we'll talk to you again later.